finish your school. So what's going to happen after that year?
Like I said, I'm just hoping for the best, and maybe an immigration reform or the DREAM Act will help me.
When are you going to start back?
Like I said before, I'm still evaluating that, but I know that I will graduate.
Jessica,
when I came here, I was 11 years old, and I don't really remember everything how I was brought here.
Did you guys cross the river? Were you brought by coyotes? When do you recall?
Jessica, you say you don't have a Hope Scholarship. So how do you pay for KSU? Do you have a job? If so, where do you work?
academic scholarship.
I don't have to work, and I receive family assistance.
Jessica, your family told us that you cleaned offices at night. Is that not true?
Sometimes I only help them, but I don't have a job.
Who pays you for that work?
If and when I actually help them, then that's how I do it.
We would also note that Jessica is now eligible for employment authorization. We'll have that shortly.
How did you get in-state tuition? Did you, on your college application, did you indicate that you were a legal U.S. resident, and is that how you got in-state tuition?
Back when Jessica initially applied for college, that question wasn't on the application in regards to their immigration status. And as a Georgia resident, she was entitled to in-state tuition.
Podré hacer la pregunta en español. Jessica, ¿cuáles son tus planes ahora? Sabemos que tienes un año de permanencia en los Estados Unidos. ¿Qué es lo que vas a hacer? ¿Qué es lo que tienes planeado? ¿Cuáles son tus próximos pasos?
Lo único que sé es que voy a terminar de estudiar porque ese es mi sueño de terminar la escuela, y pues como he dicho, estoy esperando que una reforma migratoria, o por lo menos que el DREAM Act pueda pasar para poder quedarme tal vez en el país.
Can I ask about this? A recent Pew Research poll found that 62% of people questioned said that in Arizona they think police should be able to stop and ask for paperwork. What do you think about that, and how do you think this reflects what's happening here? Obviously, you've got support here, but there are other people who have a complete point of view. You know that.
Well, I just don't agree with the law, period. I think that it's inhumane and it's very degrading.
Jessica, your mother or parents, I understand, are undocumented. Is that correct? And if so, are your attorneys representing them?
We're not going to comment on her parents' immigration status here today.
Are you representing them though?
I'm not.
No?
Can you say anything about any communication you've had with ICE? ICE told me that decisions can be made in Atlanta whether or not this young lady goes back to Etowah, and that there are local decisions made by ICE, and it may not happen in Washington, but local folks in ICE. So have you been in contact with Ken Smith and the folks here at ICE?
Ken Smith is in charge of investigations, not in charge of detention. That would be Felicia Skinner. And yes, we've been in touch with them both locally and nationally. And we don't anticipate that they'll have any further involvement until the renewal time comes for Jessica's deferred action.
So you're saying what, that she will stay and not go through the process again?
No, at the 1 year mark, she will be required to apply for an extension of her deferred action. We have no promises or commitments from ICE at that time, but we fully believe that the circumstances that allow her to stay here during this following year may continue, or maybe other circumstances that allow her to continue that deferred action.
But you don't believe she will be forced to go through the immigration process through the jail again if indeed it goes that way, because the sheriff vows to do that?
Well, I don't think she'll ever be rearrested by ICE and go through the Etowah process again. Once she's been bonded out, she's out of jail, there's no reason for ICE to detain her at this point. If they were going to put her in removal proceedings or go through that process, it would be done without her being in custody.
Oh, claro que sí, porque yo lo necesito, mi familia lo necesita, mis amigos y especialmente nuestra comunidad. Entonces, claro que sí.
One last thing on my part. Do you have anything to say to the other side of this issue that maybe can bring people together? This is such a divided issue in this country. What can bring people together?
I think that people should be more educated about this subject because the problem is that there is only generalization and stereotypes about immigrants.
There were last few questions from folks who haven't asked yet, and then we're going to wrap up.
Clarify the status, shout on bond, what's going on right now with the criminal?
On the current bond,
Yeah.
she was charged with the felony giving false information, which I discussed earlier. I do not believe it has a basis. If she's on bond with $2,500 bond with Cobb County, she'll have to go through the normal criminal procedure unless that's terminated early.
One more time, what's going to happen after the 1 year mark?
After just prior to the 1 year mark, we'll have to request an extension of the deferred action. It's an administrative process handled by ICE directly here in Atlanta.